Welcome back to part 2. We're going to add in 3 more simple tips they can use to determine or use to select your new pair of shoes. Okay, so these 3 more tips here is going to be basing on a little bit more in specifics to the heel counter, and also one more test that you can use, so to speak, when you are standing, what you should feel when you are going to be on one foot, for example. So you're going to use this test to test on one foot and what you should feel. So moving on, let's get it started. Okay, so for today, right, we're going to look at the heel, the outside heel, whether is there any give in any of them. Means to say that whether does it sink in one or the other side, too soft, right? Or either the second one will be the heel height symmetry. So means to say that it's a heel counter, or the heel in per se is actually level. That's what we're actually looking for. And then the last one here is a standing test. So when you stand, we're going to show you, or rather we're going to teach you how you can use or feel when you put on that shoe when you stand on a single leg. Can you feel equal surfaces on the shoe, or in the shoe, sorry, and whether do you feel balance? Or are you feeling the heel more on one side, or the inside more, or are you feeling more on the toe? So we want to make sure that we get an even distribution of weight you're feeling throughout the whole foot. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with this. Okay, so for the first shoe I'm going to use is the black one that we used in the previous video. We're going to look at the first 2 criteria or tips first. So being said, the outside of the heel give and the height of the heel symmetry. We're going to look at these 2 first before we move on to the standing one. Okay, so for this one here, we're going to look at whether the heel is actually going to be giving in either sides, or it's not going to do that at all. So what we're looking for is that both sides don't give. Right, meaning to say that when I push this in here between both sides, it shouldn't sink in. Alright, so if you watch this, I press it in, you can see neither side is actually giving in. This shows us this is a very stable heel counter, or very stable heel area that we actually want to strive for. Okay, so imagine when you take a strike in the ground, we don't want to sink in any direction. We want to have a very stable ground when we hit the ground. Okay, so both sides are not going to go in. That's perfect. And then the next one, okay, the next one we're going to look at the heel symmetry, the heel height symmetry. So take a look at this one. Okay, so you can see that in the picture that we have drawn, the 2 lines in between that we have drawn, you can see that it intercepts there, and that is actually very balanced in the shoe height there, in the symmetry of the height there. So that's why actually we are trying for as much as possible. And we can now take a look at the second shoe. Alright, so for the second shoe, okay, we're using the blue one that we have in the previous video as well. So all the shoes that we're using today is actually from the previous video, and we're going to try to come out with the best one again, like what we did. I wouldn't say there's a best one per se for everybody, but based on the specs or based on the specifics that we're looking for, that's probably what we want to look for. Okay, so moving on, first one, what do we look at? That's your heel give, right? So let's have a go for the heel give on both sides of this shoe. So when I press this in either sides, okay, this is good, right? It doesn't give at all, which is what we are looking for in the shoe. Very nice. And the second thing that we're going to look for, okay, is the heel height symmetry. So have a look at this one. So if you look at this one here, the heel height symmetry is not very symmetrical, and probably this is not what we want to look for in a shoe. Alright, so imagine if you're going to be standing in this kind of asymmetry, right? We're going to be a little bit lopsided more onto one side. So you can think of maybe your heel going into one side, or either going outside of the heel for per se. So in putting into terms, maybe you're going to be doing more inversion of the heel counter, or sorry, your heel, or more inversion of the heel. So this is probably what we don't want. We want to be actually level and stable throughout. Okay, so let's move on to the last pair of shoes for the first 2 criteria. Okay, for the last one here, the white shoe that we did in the previous video. So let's go ahead and test the heel give for both sides. So when I press this in, I have literally no support to press anything in. It's just giving every time when I press it in. Look at that. Press this in, it gives. Press this in, it gives. I press both together, it just gives totally. So it's like a pancake. Okay. So probably when we look for a shoe with that based on the criteria, this is not what we want. Okay. Then we're moving on to the next part, the heel symmetry. Okay, the heel symmetry for this shoe. Take a look at this. So have a look at this shoe here. This shoe is actually very flexible and soft, and it has a lot of give. So you can actually see that the shape has changed. So when I first got this shoe, it's actually quite, I would say it's quite symmetrical, but based on my feet position on my foot, it adapted to my foot. In a way it's good, but in a way you can think of it as bad, because if I have a lot of compensatory action in my heel, for example, the shoe adapt to my heel, and actually it's not going to give me any support that I might need actually for myself. So this is something that I wouldn't look for in a shoe unless the person has good good control, or either there's no issues he or she is facing, and probably this is somewhere we can look at a grey line and maybe yes, maybe no. But also it depends on the other criterias that we have based off in the previous video, and the next one, the last one, when you're standing test, we're gonna. So for the last test, we're gonna use the standing assessment one. So most importantly is that when you stand, you're gonna be feeling very stable. You feel equal pressures around the foot as much as possible, and you feel that typically the shoe fits you right away. Okay, so that's what we're gonna look for. So the first shoe, we're going for the black one. Let's go. Okay, so for the first shoe, the black one here, what I want you to do for this test is that you put all the weight into one of the legs, which is the one that you're wearing your shoe on. You're going to bend the knee a bit softly so that you can unlock the knee. Secondly, you're going to try to keep the right foot in front of you. And all you're going to do is see whether can you maintain this position for a good 30 seconds or thereabouts. And the most important thing is that you feel stable in the whole shoe. You're not going to be feeling that you're going to be going left, you're going to go right, you're going to swing left and right, or forward and back, but rather the whole shoe is all balanced throughout. Okay, and you feel comfortable in there, and you feel that the shoe fits you. And if you see me holding this position, I'm not breaking a sweat, it feels comfortable, it feels so natural and so relaxed in this position that can balance throughout. Okay, so remember, you want to feel all points of the feet as balanced throughout as possible. That will be the shoe that you want. Okay, so just take note of that. So let's move on to the next one. Okay, so next one, the blue or blue-white shoe. Same thing, keep the weight on the foot that you're having the shoe on, bend the knee a little bit softly, stick the right leg out and in front, and just have a sense of how you're feeling in this position here. So what I'm feeling, not too bad actually, but I feel that I'm lobbing over to one side more. Because remember, we saw this shoe has a little bit of angle, there's not a very symmetrical heel height. I'm actually feeling more slant down to the inside of the foot. So I feel like I'm going to lob over here. Okay, definitely not feeling as great as the first pair, but I would say it's still okay, but I wouldn't choose this one over the black one there. Next one. Okay, for the last one, the white shoe here, same thing. Bend the knee side softly, keep the weight there, stick the right foot out, and just hold this position here. So based on this position, I'm feeling a bit more move in the foot, I'm swinging a little bit more, and I feel that the shoe is following me wherever I'm going. It's not keeping me there in the position per se. So again, out of the few pairs of shoes that I just tried, I think I would like the black one the most. But again, it really depends on your context and the intent of whatever you're trying to achieve. Alright, so either way, I still managed to get a good balance here. But the idea is that based on the selection that we gave you earlier, 3 more criteria. The first one, the heel give. The second one, the heel height symmetry. And the last one, the standing test. So just make sure that when you do the standing test, especially, that the shoe fits you right away. Make sure that when you're standing on the single leg test, you feel that you're in control of the shoe, or rather to say that you feel balanced throughout straight away. You should feel like you're going to lob over to one side more than the other way, just so that this will replicate you when, say for example, when you're moving through, you're walking, or you talk about gait, you're not going to be very stable when you're going into one foot. Means to say when you strike one foot down. So bear in mind, with the total of about 6 to 7 tips, if you can get the closest or get the best, you're going to hit most of the criteria, I think you should be choosing a very good and safe pair of shoes for your next one. Alright, if not, that's all for today. Thank you.